Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I know it's been quite a while, at least since I've uploaded my last, full-fledged video and everything. But we're back for this video here, and change of pace as to some of my videos. I know I talk about some negative stuff or have some negative opinions on things sometimes. We're going to be talking about some good news, some good outlooks for this year in gaming, and some stuff that's happened recently. Not 100% sure what this video title is going to be yet, with good news in gaming or 2026 looks like a great year in gaming. Some in that ballpark at any rate. But yeah, you'll see. You obviously see if you're clicking on this video that whatever thing end up going with. But there's some good news in gaming, and there's some upcoming stuff, some recent stuff that I just wanted to talk about and cover. I thought it'd be a good way to get back in, and some positive, uplifting stuff in gaming to be talking about for the first time in a while. It seems like a lot of the stuff that's been happening recently with gaming hasn't been great, whether you're talking about actual individual games or companies or, just news and hardware and stuff. It hasn't looked like it's been great in the recent years. But there's a lot of great news, and 2026 is seeming like it's stacking up to be quite the year in gaming as a whole in a positive manner. So I just wanted to kind of come on here and inform you, or more so just talk about the stuff. And we're going to start it off with an even more surprising thing. We're going to start off at Xbox, a company that I did not leave off. The last time I've done some videos on here and talking about some news and stuff, did not leave off with a positive opinion of these people. Um, if you wind the clock back enough on my channel, you'll see a good video of me where, especially after they've been buying some, different game development companies and been making some different moves and trying to make different partnerships, I thought they could possibly kind of dominate the market here. Um, but obviously, after that, they did a lot of bad shit. They raised the prices not only their consoles that are quite old at this point, and the next generation should be coming within a few years, probably ballpark. They also raised the price of Game Pass. They were flirting very heavily with the idea of raising prices on like big title games to that I believe $70 or $80 following in the shoes of Nintendo. I can't remember which one it was at this point. Um, they made some questionable releases like the like kind of expensive handhelds that were kind of a random and not asked for release there. But so not a lot of great news. And then Phil Spencer, who to be fair, not a lot of people are like mega fans of Phil Spencer or anything, but he's been with the company for a very long time and had been the head of Xbox for a very long time too. And he got replaced by a new CEO. Can't even remember 100% how to pronounce her name, so I'm not even going to attempt it. But she was introduced with a lot of uncertainty and a lot of a lot of skepticism and a lot of question marks. Not only because obviously she hasn't, she's new, it's change, and she also was heavily involved with the Microsoft like AI program and team. And the common sentiment, especially around gaming and like creative fields and stuff, is that AI really isn't the greatest thing in the world, and people are kind of getting sick of it and don't really want it in like getting any deeper into like other fields, in particular gaming and stuff. So it was, people thought it was going to be more of the same, or they were going to try to enter in like a bunch of AI, slop and stuff that people didn't really ask for. But it has turned out to be quite a good, head of Xbox change. It seems like what was initially kind of met with a lot of skepticism, she seems to be turning out to be quite the head of Xbox. Um, Recently, and this kind of gets to the entire actual point I've been rambling about good news for the past like 4 minutes, or whatever. Xbox has decided that they're going to lower the price of Game Pass. They're going to bring Game Pass back down to normal prices after the price increase, particularly on Ultimate, that happened somewhat recently, I guess. With I want to say it was up towards like 30, like closing on about $30 a month for the base month subscription of Game Pass Ultimate. That has now been lowered back down to pre-inflation, like pre-price rise levels, and it is mainly to do with the fact that Call of Duty is not going to be like a day one, release thing and a game on Xbox Game Pass Ultimate anymore. Apparently, that was the big kind of price increase issue in the first place. I don't know. Obviously, I don't work for Xbox or anything. I don't know the financials or what that kind of looked like over at Xbox. But apparently, people are they're saying the price increase is because apparently even though they own Activision Blizzard now, the financials of making Call of Duty a day one Game Pass game for all their Ultimate subscribers just lost them a bunch of money or is a very expensive proposition to undertake for Game Pass and Xbox. So they had to raise the prices to kind of compensate for that. On top of that, Game Pass has kind of also added stuff like Fortnite Crew and been expanding other avenues of their Game Pass, like what Game Pass Ultimate and the service as a whole offers. That people, I mean, if you want to add them on there and not increase the price, it's whatever. But people weren't really thrilled or asking for a lot of these, like Fortnite Crew, for example. And if that means on top of the Call of Duty and everything, the price is going to have to increase, people weren't really thrilled with that. But now it looks like they're getting rid of the Call of Duty Day One access, which for me and basically everybody I know, no problem whatsoever. This is unfortunately, I mean, it's not like this is not like 2010, 2016, or like Call of Duty is not, in my opinion, and kind of my estimation of the situation, not some like deal breaker that's gone now or like the focal point of gaming every year anymore. It's not to say it's fallen off a cliff, but it kind of has in ways. And on top of that, it just really isn't the priority of most people anymore. It's kind of run its course and it's around. But if it means I have to pay more every month for my Game Pass Ultimate as an Xbox user or whatever, I'm not, and most people are not willing to pay that extra difference just to have Game Pass or Xbox or fucking Call of Duty on Game Pass day one. It just wasn't really a good trade off, and they're getting rid of that now, which is more than acceptable. They're lowering the prices. I don't believe they're lowering the prices, or at least that I have seen, of their hardware, unfortunately. I still think that's kind of a bit of a negative, aspect of this. Not to try to kill the mood or anything here, but I don't believe I've seen them lowering the prices of their hardware. I still think that's kind of an issue, especially with how old the consoles are these days. But I'll take any good news I can get, any positives I can get. So I'm still thrilled about the Game Pass price lowering. I think that's a great step forward, and I think it's a great move by the new head of Xbox, and a pretty common sense move, honestly. It's sometimes you look at these huge gaming companies, and it's like they get huge for a reason. They did a lot of good stuff, a lot of cool stuff, made a lot of great games, or whatever the case may be. And then they just get to the size of like EA or Xbox, and it seems like they just can't function anymore. Like they can't make common sense decisions anymore. They lost some of the pizzazz that got them there or something. But with this, particular situation, and it seems like they're doing a lot to reverse some of these steps and go in a better direction. It's just nice to see a massive gaming company like this, outside of like Valve, honestly, is the only one who consistently doesn't fuck this up, actually make good decisions and really go in a positive direction here. On top of that, the Game Pass prices aren't just being lowered. It seems like, and this isn't fully released yet, and I've heard it's coming into beta testing soon. Apparently, you're going to now be able to kind of interact with Xbox Game Pass in a modular capacity. And what that means is you can kind of pick and choose the benefits or the aspects of Game Pass that you want and not the other ones, and just pay for what you need and what you want. So like if you want, Game Pass, you want, online play, obviously, and you want access to like a catalog of their Game Pass essential games because those are the only ones you're interested in, but you don't want Fortnite Crew, but you want EA Play or something. You don't have to take the Fortnite Crew and go to like the ultimate or like the mid-level subscription that has that. You can just get your base Game Pass and then add on and plug and play with these different features like, oh, you don't want cloud gaming or you do want cloud gaming, add or subtract that from your, Game Pass subscription. So you're paying for exactly what you want and what you need and not just these artificial tiers, which could make it which obviously makes it a lot more customizable and a lot more personal to you, which is a great thing, but also can potentially lower the price of Game Pass, is what it seems like it's going to be doing. So more great news if that is 100% going to be coming to the public. I think that's a great thing, especially with subscription pass, like subscription fees and just live service stuff like this, and the amount of subscriptions these days is just appalling. Like it is absurd. Everything seems to have a subscription behind it, a monthly or weekly subscription. At this point, it's kind of getting annoying to the point where, excuse the lag here, my Wi-Fi isn't fantastic, but it's kind of getting annoying to the fact that everything's a subscription. I have to pay a subscription for everything. These subscriptions, sometimes they have stuff I want. It's almost like the subscription services and the streaming stuff is starting to become the cable that it initially replaced. It's like, oh, to pay this huge fees for all these streaming or subscription services, I don't even want some of this stuff. This is a good step forward. This is a good step forward if this actually comes to fruition, because it needs to be customizable to what you actually want, and it needs to, and it helps the price. So that's a great thing from Xbox. Actually, have some positive news from Xbox. Hopefully, they lower the prices of their hardware, or if that's a thing that they've been talking about recently, I just missed it. I apologize, but that would be awesome too. But overall, Xbox looks like it's going in a great direction. They've also a lot more vague kind of news here. They've been talking about a partnership with Discord, not 100% what that's going to look like. I mean, they already have Discord integrated into their kind of social features already, anyways. But maybe like Game Pass, or maybe like Discord Nitro would come to Game Pass or something as like a modular piece you can add on if you want. Um, not or maybe there's some new features within Discord that you can use, or expanding the kind of user interface and what Discord can do on Xbox. Either way, a partnership with Discord, in my opinion, has a low probability of being a bad news thing, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty cool feature adding thing to Xbox and Discord users. So I'm kind of hyped to see what that will be. Moving on to some actual games here now. We have Mouse PI that just came out recently. Fantastic game. It's kind of like, imagine Mickey Mouse, L.A. Noir, or Noir. Honestly, I've never understood how to say that name 100% properly, but you know what I'm talking about, the Rockstar game, obviously. Um, and Doom, kind of. I know that's kind of a crazy pull for the other two. Got merged into one. So it's cartoony, and the Mickey Mouse, and it's by mouse. It's, the entire world is, inhabited by mice. Um, Mixed with like the gore and the action and the violence and the shooting of Doom, but like the detective and like the old timey like black and white vibes, and the private investigator part of L.A. Noir, however, God, that's gonna bother me now. But and that's kind of Mouse PI for you in a nutshell. Obviously, a lot more analysis to go into that, but it is a super cool concept game. It is fantastic. It's available on basically every platform outside of maybe Nintendo platforms. Don't quote me on that though. I highly recommend picking that up. It's been a fantastic game. On top of that, Windrose, not a game that I actually own as of yet, but it's probably going to be a game I own very soon. Pirates games recently and going into the summer, huge ups. Obviously, we've had Sea of Thieves, which they've done a good job of improving over the years, but Windrose, it's kind of a mixture of Assassin's Creed Black Flag with, which we'll get to in a second, which is another part of this video, but it's kind of a mixture of Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Valheim, or however you pronounce that game, kind of the Viking survival kind of action game. It's kind of a mixture of those two to make what is a fantastic looking pirate game. Overwhelming praise so far. I believe it is only on PC. At least that's the only place that I've seen it or looked at it. But despite that, looks like an absolutely fantastic game. Piracy is a big thing coming into this summer and going into the summer with Windrose, obviously. So a great banger of a game there. I've also heard about this game that you can be like a co-pilot of a narcotics operation and fly drugs, kind of like straight out of the TV show Narcos and stuff. With like, I don't want to, I can't remember the pilot's name in that series. It's a real dude actually, but I can't remember his name. But that looks very good and promising. On top of that, going off the pirate news, in early July of this year, Ubisoft, I know, another company you weren't expecting to hear their name in a good news or a good Outlook video for gaming this year. Ubisoft is remastering, or repolishing, or however you want to put it, remastering Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which arguably I might get in a little trouble if some people are saying this, but in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, probably the best Assassin's Creed game ever made. I love the first and second Assassin's Creed and some other Assassin's Creed as much as the next guy, But Black Flag is iconic. It's legendary. It's probably one of the best pirate games ever made, and they are remastering it. Obviously, it's early July, and this is recent news and recent happenings, so not a ton of like gameplay footage or information on it has been released. As Jesus, I don't even know what to say about that, but yeah, we're just gonna keep going. I don't want to edit that out, so that's gonna stay in there. But not as much information has been released as we'll get in like late May or June and stuff going up to the release, obviously. But it looks fantastic. From the changes, like you get like a pet monkey or cat on board with you. There's some gameplay and quality of life tweaks and improvements that look like they're going to be good. Big additions there. Again, apologize for the lag on this clip. My Wi-Fi was not very great during this, but getting back to the point, the game also looks fantastic and looks very new and modern, which is obviously the biggest factor and most important factor when talking about a remaster here. Um, they didn't change. They seemingly haven't changed most of the bones and the core of the game to make it, unrecognizable and potentially mess it up. Because obviously Ubisoft hasn't inspired the most confidence out of any big gaming company as of recently. But this looks like it's gonna be a slam dunk. It looks like they're remastering and making one of the best pirate games of all time look fantastic and get some, added benefits to it. So that's big news coming up. Definitely gonna be keeping my, finger on the pulse with that one, and giving more news or maybe reviewing it or giving some B-roll or some reviews of it or whatever when it actually comes out or gets closer to it. That's big news, obviously. Very much looking forward to that. On top of that, obviously GTA 6 supposed to release this year anyways. We'll see if it actually does. We've been saying that now for I don't even know how long. Not like an absurd amount of time anyways, but the game has been delayed before. But hopefully if the game releases this year, that's going to be a groundbreaking event, obviously, that I can't wait for, and basically everybody can't wait for. The funniest thing of Grand Theft Auto 6 is the impact on the economy that people think it's going to have, and not for like Take Two and like Rockstar and everybody selling the game. Obviously, they put a lot of money into it; they're going to get a lot of money back by sales and everything. But people, with the amount of people who are calling in sick to work or taking time off of work or not going, the school part doesn't like skipping school doesn't really impact the economy too much. But the amount of people who are going to be missing work or like jobs or meetings or stuff for the like GTA 6 release and the initial release of it is apparently absurd. Like a lot of people have been calling out already. Like I've seen old Instagram reels of like people like making sure that they had that time blocked off for like vacation time or something. It seems like the economy might, outside of the video game industry, might come to a halt for a day or two with that release. I can't wait for that game. Some people, question about, oh, it's been delayed. That's not a great sign, or can it live up to the hype? I think it can live up to the hype personally. I think Rockstar rarely, if ever, misses. I was trying to think of an example where Rockstar missed. They really don't. I really don't have one. It's been a fantastic gaming company, and I'm more than thrilled with that. The last thing I'll kind of talk about, this video has become very long as I'm looking over the timer. Subnautica 2 releases very soon. And I know there's been a lot of negative news around that entire company and around that game as a whole, with the lawsuits with some of the developers and some of the people on that team. Some of the shady stuff that's been going on there that's kind of tainted that game development company and that this whole project. But the game itself, not taking in morals and company politics and stuff like that and legality, the game itself looks fantastic. Subnautica 1 was already a fantastic, survival game in a really cool setting that I really enjoyed quite a bit. But Subnautica 2 looks stunning. It visibly and graphically actually looks, I mean, unbelievable from the stuff we've seen already. The stuff and the new stuff added in the game and the environment and the setting looks fantastic, and not, we're still getting what the key parts of what people really liked about Subnautica and the ocean exploration. The big thing, obviously, you're going to be able to actually play with your buddies and play with your family or whatever. So that's going to be a huge addition as well. Being able to actually play with people. That's I can't wait. I can't wait to actually hop in and play Subnautica with other people. I think that's going to be a great element. I think that's a survival and exploration game like Subnautica can only benefit from something like that. It is looking fantastic. So there's just yeah, that kind of sums it up. There's just a lot of good news, a lot of upcoming stuff, and a lot of upcoming games and projects on the horizon here that are looking great, giving a lot of hope, and golden age vibes coming into 2026 here, and especially with the surrounding world stuff going on and all the world events going on. Definitely good to have that coming back. It seems like it's always game like 2008 and stuff like this. There's always years that like are kind of filled with like randomness and turmoil that produce a lot of great like gaming outcomes for some reason. But it's shaping up to be a fantastic year. There's a lot of good news. I just kind of wanted to talk about that and share my thoughts and kind of tell you guys about that and everything. And I thought it'd be a good way to excuse the atrocious Molly there. Gee, that's a horrible way to end this video. um, but I just wanted to kind of discuss that. I thought it would be a good way to kind of get back into the flow of things here. But yeah, a lot of great news on the horizon here, and that's already been happening. Let me know what you all think about that and what your kind of outlook on everything is here, and how you've, with the recent stuff, how you've kind of taken that and the Microsoft news and MSPI and Windrose and everything, and what you're excited about and some other stuff I should be kind of covering on the channel or looking forward to or making videos about. I'd love to hear that in the comments. And yeah, that's about it for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, but like and subscribe, always appreciated, and I'll see you guys in the next one.